time blocking. Okay, beautiful.
Can I piggyback on that and kind of say like more how she structures her day?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I was gonna say more like work-life balance, really like like balancing two jobs and family and all that stuff.
Beautiful. All right, you can handle all that stuff, right, Marquia?
Of course.
All right. All right, let's get started. We are recording this for anyone that comes in a bit later. First of all, I just want to publicly say something about you, Marquia. You know, when you're starting something essentially from nothing, you know, which is what I had the privilege to do right around when COVID started, building this productivity coaching program. You never know when you're going to kind of connect with somebody that is going to change it all, right? And really, there's like a couple of people. Certainly, Marquia is right there at the top of the list of people that have come into the Market Center and particularly the productivity coaching program, and they plug in at a level that is uncommon, and they contribute at a level that is uncommon, and therefore, not surprisingly, they have uncommon results. And I just want to publicly thank you for your commitment to PC and to your business and to this goal that you've had for a while of moving from part-time to full-time. And it didn't come easy. And I'm sure you'll go into some of those details today. One of the things I've admired the most is that you just kept showing up. And, you know, if you guys go back and watch every single video from March 13th, 2012, or 2020, which I think is the day we started, Marquia is on just about every single video. And it's not a coincidence that she's having the success she's having now. And I just want to thank you, because when you came into the group, the group changed. And, you know, we got an opportunity to really start to kind of creating some pieces of success, some evidence of success that we could share with others in the group and outside the group. And the group would not be where it is without you. I just want to make sure you're perfectly clear on that. And I want to make sure everyone else is perfectly clear on that. And I'm just very, very grateful to have been to be able to witness everything that's transpired in the last, you know, little over a year. So thank you. I cold called Marquia like probably 2 years ago. And
you invited me to bowl.
I invited you to bowl. And I didn't know her and she didn't know me. And it just worked out. And I'll tell you the reason why I think you were open is because you're coachable and because you have a big desire to be successful. And I'd like to think that I must have said something that created some type of curiosity and interest. And I'm just glad that, you know, we kept hanging out. I got an opportunity to kind of, you know, get to know your business and coach you a little bit prior to you coming to KW. And I've just loved being a witness to everything that's happened. So I want to give you the floor today to, you know, share a little bit about your story and particularly the things that I think are relevant for the listeners today. Is how did you make the transition from, you know, dual career to about to be full-time? And what were some of the challenges that you experienced? How did you resolve those challenges, or how are you still resolving those challenges? And one of the things I'd like to start with, perhaps, because everything starts with this, is mindset, right? Just because you have another job. What's that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just because you have another job doesn't mean that being a real estate agent is any easier, right? In fact, it's harder, right? You're still going to do all the same stuff. You just got less time to do it. And so I'd like for you to kind of give us a little intro into how you approached getting into the business, how you approached the mindset that you had ultimately to make the switch to KW. And just give us a little bit of background so we can, you know, better understand, you know, all the different things that are going on, you know, not too personal, but, you know, all the things that you've got on your plate. so that we can really understand how awesome a success story you've been.
Okay, yeah. So definitely with mindset, I think it's the number one thing, because I was with Caldwell Banker prior, and I didn't really see anything wrong with the brokerage or the trainings that I received. However, when Bill reached out to me, and he can attest for it, he was like, "Oh, you ever thought about switching?" I'm like, "No, I'm a horrible agent. It's not me. It's that I don't have the time, in a sense." And so when Bill and Aubrey came towards me, I think it was more so that they gave me a structure. Like, most people just like, I want to be a real estate agent. I just want to be a real estate agent. I know that I can be one, but they don't really give you the tools to say, okay, what's going to be your niche? What's going to be the 3 things that you're going to focus on in order to make your business grow? So once I actually got the structure to say, okay, am I going to call people? Am I going to do social media? Am I going to do open houses? Like, how exactly am I going to build my business? And it came to a point where me and Bill were on the phone like every week, because he told me with the bow, he would give me free coaching. And I almost felt like I was kind of cheating on my other brokerage in a sense, because I'm like, this guy is pouring into me and I'm not even with Keller Williams. So I'm like, one day I just randomly asked him, and I said, well, how would it work if I decided to make the switch? Because he never put any pressure on me. And then Aubrey was meeting with me every Friday. So I'm just like, they don't want anything from me, and they just want to see me be successful. So I decided to just go ahead and make the switch. And it was one of the hardest things, because I was actually in a mentor program with Caldwell Banker. And she was more so about only mental and reading books, and let's try to figure out how to get over that hump. Like, I know you can do it, but how do you get over the hump? But she didn't give me the tools to help me get over the hump. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And so when I explained to her, like, hey, you were great, but over here they're teaching me this, she's like, oh, well, I could do that. I'm like, but you didn't. So that was one of the things. And so when I made the switch, we actually put together a plan as to how I was gonna go into the next year. My goal was to sell at least 9 homes this year in order for me to feel comfortable to make the switch. I am on 7 and I have 2 on the contract right now. So I definitely will meet the 9. And I have some other ones that I probably have about to go not under contract, but get a agreement signed. So I'm more so of goal driven. Once I put my mind to something, it's not really how am I going to do it? It's just like, I have to do it. And so I'm at work right now. So I make sure today, I go to the gym in the morning. It's typically around 5:30, and we get into habits. I try to go to the gym at 5:30 every morning, get back home by 7:15, 7:30, and then I'm about to work by 9:30. And I'm making my business to make sure I set an alarm at 8:27 every morning to make sure that I'm on the call, just because I need a day to start my day with real estate, even though I'm pretty much working 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 6. I am a property manager in Alpharetta. So I've been doing property management going on 10 years now. It's always been something. I started my freshman year in college, by the way. You guys probably like, you look a little young. I am 29. I will be 30 in December. So with me doing
gosh, you are going to absolutely annihilate this business. It's going to be so fun to watch. Oh my goodness. All right, keep going. Yeah. Sorry.
No. So with me doing property management, I feel like it go hand in hand. Putting people in apartments, I always like to see the joy of them getting the keys. The units are made ready, and I just try to translate that into my everyday life. One key factor to being a dual agent is definitely communication. With me being a property manager, I do have a regional, but inside of my office, I have an assistant, I have 2 leasing consultants, and I have maintenance. And I pride myself on, most property managers, they don't have to go to work. We're salary. So you don't have to be to work on time, or, it's kind of like, hey, I'm the boss, this and that and the other. But I make sure that I still try to get to work on time. I still make sure that if I can stay into 5, I can stay into 6, I will. So when it's those times that I have to have a showing or I have a closing or something, I still give my team the respect level to say, hey, I have this going on. I may have to leave tomorrow. Like yesterday, I didn't come into work. I worked from home yesterday morning because I had a showing, 3 showings yesterday. So I'm like, hey, this makes sense for me to work from home. But then when somebody send me an IM or an email, I'm responding right back to them. So it's kind of not, they know that if I'm home working, I'm actually at home working versus me, doing whatever I want to do. And that goes back to say that it's still a respect level that I have within my office for them to know, hey, she is trying to build her own business and I can respect that. And so I treat my team, I give my team the utmost respect more than anything. Anybody got any questions so far in regards to anything I've said so far?
Well, you did say one thing, which is, I didn't know if I knew this. Wait, property managers don't have like clock-in hours?
No. My leasing consultants and my assistant and everyone else do, but a property manager, since we're salary, don't have to clock in and out. No, we don't.
Okay, so that just takes extra effort and extra commitment to show up when people are not mandating that you show up, and it's to be expected from somebody like yourself. But I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of people face when they get into this business is they. I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but a lot of people get into this business because they don't want a boss. But many of them aren't even willing to be their own boss, right? And they get totally lost, and they don't show up, they don't plug in, they don't consider it work, they don't give it an honest day's work, and that is completely the opposite of your approach. Can you speak to that a little bit too? How have you stayed so disciplined with your time?
That's a good question, Bill. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Me too.
Honestly, okay, so the way that my Calendly link is set up, which I do have a virtual assistant. I had them set up my consultations from anywhere between 6 and 8 p.m. And I like it like that because whenever I'm transferred a call, like from the tuned-up marketing people, or either when I have someone from my social media that want to meet with me, I typically tell them like, hey, I'm a dual agent. And it works most of the time because at the end of the day, everybody else that wants to buy a house have a job as well too. And I let them know, I'm like, hey, if you want to see something and you're off one day, just let me know. I can make it work, or I can find someone that can open the door for you. But I don't want you to ever feel as though you can't do something because even if I'm not at work, I could be showing another person. I just have to be upfront and honest with them and just say, hey, I do have a full-time job, but I'm also committed to you. And I have a full team that'll be able to show for you. If I have a transaction coordinator, I have this, I have that, so that they feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, people want to work with you because of who you are as a person, not necessarily because of you being there every step of the way. But as soon as somebody showed for me, I'm like on the call with the agent, like, hey, how did it go? I called my client. I'm like, hey, I heard you like X, Y, and Z. And they're like, yeah, I like that, home. I'm like, do you want to place an offer? And so I'm still right there every step of the way. And I really had a conversation with Bill, and I told him, I'm like, I was stressing myself out one time because I was trying to be in multiple places at one time. And he's like, when you go to the doctor, do you see the doctor first, or do you see the nurse practitioner or the nurse first? And I'm like, yeah, I see like nurse first. So he's like, you don't always have to be the go-to person that they see every time. And I kind of had to take that into my personal life to allow myself to know that I can't be everywhere, every place at every time. So it comes upon a time where I will have to delegate my time for me to make certain deals work. And it works out. Like I said, it's all about the communication. So that goes back to me having communication with my job, communication with my clients, and also making sure that my availability is realistic to the point where I'm like, hey, you work 9 to 5, I work 9 to 5. It works for us to see homes after work. Because a lot of time, a lot of buyers or sellers like, oh, it's too late. You know, I get off work, and I'm like, no, I get off work too. This is actually when I work. I'm working from pretty much most nights, probably 6 to 10:30. I'm pretty much in my office working after hours. If I show after work, which I'm off of McFarland exit in Alpharetta. So a lot of my clients are in like Stone Mountain, Lithonia. I live in Tucker, so it takes me about 35, 40 minutes to get to work anyway. So I have a haul to get to any other side of town outside of Alpharetta, which right now my primary business is not in Alpharetta. So like I said, I have to be very strategic when I set appointments, or I may say, hey, they have a time available at 4 o'clock, and I know, okay, I can maybe leave work around 2:30. Whenever I have something available, something to do at work is typically on my work calendar. And so I always try to look at my work calendar and compare it to what I'm promising people to make sure that I can actually follow through with it.
All right, let me kind of summarize one thing you just said that I think is awesome. So if you guys have read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, one of the big concepts that they talk about is that people are not loyal to you. They are loyal to the standards that they have come to expect from your organization, or from your, the experience of working with you. So while you said that you may not be able to be in every spot at every time, your standards can be, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning if your virtual assistant is going to do some kind of prep work for one of your appointments or something like that, your standards are within that virtual assistant's, the way that they work, right? You've instructed them on how to, be another version of you, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a showing agent show a property, it may not be you physically opening the door, but the person who gets the opportunity to be involved and to help you is going to exude your standards. And so that, I think that's a really important concept for everyone to hear, is this is somebody that isn't even full-time yet that has a virtual assistant, right? That is paying people to show properties. So kind of when you get when you learn about a challenge in your business, you kind of have two ways to address that. You can either treat yourself like a victim and say, oh, well, I have another job. Oh, I have to. And by the way, I'm not minimizing anyone's non-real estate commitments, okay? However, there have been plenty of people with other jobs and lots of kids and lots of other things going on that do well, right? So the question is are you gonna experience that challenge and say, okay, well, here's a list of the reasons why I can't do that? Or are you gonna step outside of that and say, okay, so I'm fortunate enough to have an elderly parent that I need to take care of. I'm fortunate enough to have children that need to be picked up from school, right? I'm fortunate enough to have, a beautiful home that's not in the area that I happen to be asked to be working in, right? And look at it from a point of gratitude and say, how can this happen? And who do I need to bring into my world to help me make this happen, right? And I think I bet you if you lined up people that were, 9, 10 unit transaction people, I bet you would be one of the only people that has taken leverage upon yourself. And I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, who's got some thoughts or questions so far? Are we kind of on the right track? Is this helpful, or is there any specific direction that you'd like to go? I would like to spend just a tiny bit more time on time and time blocking. Mm-hmm. Who else has some thoughts for today so far?
I would just be curious, like, how do you get it all done? With all the jobs and working, and like, how do you fit it all in? I mean, I know you said you do some stuff after work and everything, but that's a lot to.
So I guess I'll go ahead and touch a little bit on my virtual assistant. So my virtual assistant, he actually posts everything on my social media. Like, a lot of people think I post on my social media, but I don't. He posts my social media. If I have a listing that needs to go in, he can start it. for me to go ahead and review it, and I can put it as coming soon on the contract. He puts all my database into command. Yesterday, we just had a meeting because I was trying to figure out with these two that I got on the contract on Friday, did I want to hire a transaction coordinator? And so I had a conversation with him, and he's like, no, we can actually be the transaction coordinator. I have a checklist. And so I'm trying to make sure I'm honestly the type person that I over communicate, Brian. And when I over communicate, what that means is when my client tell me that they want a home, I call the agent, which is, people love to hear people. I call the agent. I'm like, hey, I'm coming here. What are they looking for? Because it's like, I don't really have time to mess up. So the other agents on the other end think I'm not going to say think I'm this great agent, but they feel as though I have the best communication because I don't want to drop the ball anywhere. So as soon as I send the contract and we go binding, I do everything up front. I even BCC my assistant so he can put it on my calendar and send calendar invites to all my other clients. And I try to do everything right then and there. And then within that week, I'll look over everything, and then I'll call the agent. I'm like, hey, do you have a commission agreement? Do I need to send, I'll send a commission agreement, and I'll kind of just really take a overlook over everything just to make sure, because I'm so nervous that I will forget about something that I just try to make sure that I get it done, even if that means I get to work and I really don't take a lunch break at work. I just kind of work. So if I just take a minute and like 30 minutes and be like, okay, let me send this email. So like on my work computer, I have the Google set up for my KW email, and I'll just go through it and just check my email and just make sure that all my checklists are checked off. I have a to-do list on my phone. Pretty much every morning, anything that kind of crossed my mind, I put it on my to-do list. And throughout the day, I just check it off, and then it just goes off my to-do list.
Okay, so you're kind of following a little bit of the same structure that I've shared with respect to like kind of your to-do list, if you will, and then your Google Cal with appointments and other commitments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what have you because okay, one thing you said that I want to just flush out a tiny bit is you made a reference to like I don't have time to waste, right? But I want to let everyone know that even if you're full time, you ain't got time to waste either. Okay, so not having time to waste is not just a dual career challenge. That is an everyone challenge, right? You will be pressed all day long to take you away from your priorities. So how have you figured that part out, Marquia? How have you either created the boundaries or created the awareness or both to kind of identify what are the things that are going to move your business forward and what are the things that are going to be distractions from that? How have you navigated those challenges?
I typically like just with friends, like I go out with my friends often. They may say, hey, 8 o'clock, we're going here on the weekend after hours. So I still have a work-life balance. I live with my boyfriend. I have a dog. So typically I may cook on Sundays, or I may pick up something. He may pick up something, and we come together maybe around 9:30, watch TV. So I still have time to spend with my family. Like I don't just do all of work and have no fun and not enjoying my youth life. So I don't want that to be the interpretation, is that I just work all day. Like I find time to relax my mind and wind down my day and just really relax. So I'm not all about work. Just in regards to, what did you say, Bill, like the scheduling?
Yeah, like how does, if I can also throw in one other comment, is successful people generally wake up a little on the earlier side. Like I texted somebody, or my assistant texted somebody yesterday that was somebody that just passed the real estate exam, and it happened to be the wrong number. And the person replied I decided not to respond to this because I just didn't even know what to say. Literally, the text came in at like 9:30. Okay. And the person responded by saying, you have the wrong, I'm not Michael, but even if I was, I wouldn't respond back to you because you woke me up with this text. Right. So like if you're waking up at 9:30, and obviously that's not the case with probably all you guys, but like your competition has already got 3 hours on you, right? So number one is I want to applaud you for your commitment to go exercise every morning and to get out of bed and make things happen. What other tips do you have from a time management standpoint? Have you been able to like recognize things that are a distraction?
Yes.
Okay,
So one thing I had to recognize was that I was comparing, like on the calls in the morning, I was comparing myself to a lot of people, and not necessarily success wise, but as far as how to build a business. I felt like I had to cold call, and every day I put it on my to-do list to do, but within property management, running a property, it's like things always happen, and I never could set that time aside to be like, okay, I didn't call. And actually, me and Tawantis were accountability partners, and we were talking one morning, and she kind of really shifted my mindset when she said, you have to build your business on what you do. I can do this because I'm full-time, but you may can't. So, find what other ways you want to build your business and not kind of think about everything else that goes on the call. And that was really big for me because realistically within my day, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to cold call. So what did I do? I realized the issue that I had. I realized that I do need to make calls, but I didn't have the time to do it. So what I did was I found a company, which is the Tuned Up Marketing, that's making my calls for me, screening the calls for me, sending me live transfers. When they send me the live transfers, I answer them. I automatically get them set up for a buyer consultation or a listing presentation. So I'll outsource my time with money, honestly, because if I'm making the extra money, then why not try out different things? And just to be honest, since I've been with Tuned Up Marketing, I actually was able to, one person I actually closed on, but it was somebody that I knew that my advertisement just came across their screen. So she didn't even know I was in real estate, and we ended up closing in like 10 days. So that was actually a really great transaction. Wow. The other ones are really nurturing for next year. Like I have over 230 plus people in my database, and my major focus was for me, even if I didn't get closings right then and there, was to have a database where it seemed as though I've been in business for at least 5 years, so that I can put the people into command, which my assistant has now done. I just had a conversation with him yesterday, like, hey, I'm gonna download text requests, and you're gonna be texting these people on my behalf to just see if they're even interested. What month are they gonna be interested, so I can put them on my calendar. But that's also something that I realized that I don't have time to do, so my assistant is doing it for me. So with my virtual assistant and the Tuned Up Marketing, like I only did a 3-month contract with them, and I definitely feel as though I have enough people in my database to kind of let this be the last month, because this is going on 3 months. I think I've had at least 20 live transfers, and what that means is they're actually calling the people saying, hey, are you pre-qualified? Are you ready? When are you ready? And they're just pretty much sending it over to me. Now, I'm not saying that every dual agent have to outsource something like that, but if you know you don't have the time to, then I would definitely say find out something within your budget that's going to help you become successful, with you getting, paid from your job. And then also once the commission checks start coming in, you have to pour back into your business. So like I said, once I start receiving commission checks, which I've had 7 closings so far this year, I just pour it back into my business and just said, hey, what could it hurt?
Right. And you took very calculated risks, in my opinion. So we Correct. Talked a little bit about Tuned Up Marketing before you committed to it. You did some research and read reviews and these kind of things. You they have a you have to make sure that the company is reputable enough to commit to their commitments, right? To really follow through with them. But this is a company that offered a money back guarantee, right? So, and there was no long-term contract, right? So you tried it and it was working. So you tried some more and it was working, and tried some more. And then you've kind of determined that it might be time to move on and continue to try other things. So I think you are taking those baby steps of learning about, what are some tools that I can use to find leads that are going to come to me with minimal exposure, with minimal risk, and that allows me to kind of double check to make sure that they are earning the partnership, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think that's super critical if you're going to get into business with, all of these real estate, kind of ancillary companies. You want to make sure you're doing your research on their reputation, their communication standards, their results, right? Go speak to somebody that has, signed up, 3 months ago and 6 months ago and 9 months ago, and see what their experience was.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like the phrase, it takes money to make money. And the reason why I don't like it is because I think it's just another piece of evidence that victims use to be victims, right? Well, I don't have any money, so I guess I will never create anything cool, right? I think that it takes energy to make money. So it's either going to be your time or it's going to be your money. So, I don't like when people say it takes money to make money. Yeah, if I had a bunch of money to plow into a business, then yeah, I could probably make money faster. But that doesn't mean that if you don't have the cash, then you can't make it happen. Make sense?
Correct.
Okay, give us some advice. What do you think an agent that is either navigating kind of all of the, stuff that a real estate agent needs to be kind of navigating at the beginning of their business, or somebody that is, experiencing the same challenges that that you're, a year ahead of, in terms of, kind of your time feels scattered. There's so much overwhelm. You've got all these other commitments that are preventing you from, spending as much time in the business as you might like. Walk us through, give us some hints. What have you learned along the way?
Definitely, I would say get a coach. I think outside the morning call, me and Bill meet every Tuesday at 3:00. And I have two. One thing I do want to make mention of, I did get a second phone. So I have two phones. I can barely keep up with them both, but I feel as though it makes me want to do business because I have another phone. And so what's
the purpose of the other phone?
It's for real estate purpose. So I really strictly only use that phone for real estate. And another thing with me having residents love me. Of course, I'm the property manager, so they gravitate towards me. I had a big issue with giving my residents my personal cell phone number. So I figured that if I gave them my other number, and I know that that's ringing from that phone, I always pick up the phone. Hello, this is Marquia. How can I help you? Or this is Marquia. So I know exactly how to use that phone compared to somebody called my regular cell phone. I'm picking up the phone. I'm just like, hello. So it's a different atmosphere, I guess, or vibe whenever I pick up the phone, whenever my real estate phone is ringing. So I set alarms whenever it's time for me and Bill time. My team, they'll be in my office. Hey, your alarm's going off, your alarm's going off. And I make sure that I get that one-on-one with him because it really sets my expectations for the next week. It allows me to set my own goals that I didn't even know that I wanted to be a goal. So that next week, once we talk, I'm like, hey, I did this, I did that. And it really holds me accountable. And I don't know what kind of notebook Bill has, but he's like, well, when we talk, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it? And I'm like, I forgot that I said that. I'm pretty sure he has more notes on me than I have on myself. But I always try to make sure that I have, like Bill say, you have to be coachable. And I definitely think that's something that's helped me along the way. Is being coachable and kind of making sure that I don't miss that time, along with getting the nuggets in the beginning on the morning huddle.
Gotcha.
Another tip I would say is for someone trying to transition or just trying to get more transactions is just figure out what you want to do to build your business, how you want to do it. I love what Donna and Drew were saying yesterday, because open houses have been a niche that I've been wanting to get into, that I haven't really tapped into it because I really never know how my weekends are gonna go. But the fact that they said that they door knock on Thursdays or Fridays after 5 o'clock, which would be perfect for me. I would like to incorporate something like that. And I'm like, okay, hey, open houses, I'm going to sit here, put it on my calendar, and then, set time after work to just go and door knock with a partner or so. So that's just an idea that I was thinking that would be great for a dual agent. Right now, I typically run my business on the social media, typically Instagram and Facebook. I also do hired tuned up marketing. So I guess you could say that's kind of cold calling or internet advertisement in a sense. But as you know, I'm getting those live transfers and referrals. So those are kind of like the three ways that I'm building my business right now. And then once I have time to actually make my own calls or start doing the smart plans, and I probably will, or I probably won't. I'll just have my assistant continue to do it.
That's exactly right. Like, your job is the 20% and their job is the 80%. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is their 20 is your 80, but then you have to say to yourself, well, what's their 80? Right. So where are they not using their time as efficiently as possible? And is there somebody that would be better to handle those tasks? Right. I mean, is it not possible to go on Fiverr and find somebody that, could kind of be on call for you to make flyers? Or, you email them a bunch of pictures of all your notes on, Friday afternoon, and before you get to work on Monday, they're already in your database because somebody stuck them in your database over the weekend. I mean, we got to ask ourselves, guys, we have everything on your project list should say, why is this still here? Because it's important for the development of my business. Okay, so it's been here for 6 months. So clearly I don't appear to have the time or the interest in doing it. So I wonder if somebody else should be doing it. Should I use my cash to deal with this problem? You see what I'm saying? I literally had to write a business plan for my assistant that I didn't even have to prove to myself that I needed one. Because it was about 25 things that I knew had to happen in my business that didn't happen for several years. And then
I want to touch on that too, Bill, because my assistant and they were like, oh, well, our minimum is 5 days a week and you have to do like 4 days. And I'm like, I don't have enough business for that. Like, can we start small? And I promise you that we will get more business. And so I started off with 3 days a week with him doing 4 hours a day. And then I started getting really busy because I had like 3 closings coming up and I'm just giving him stuff to do. And he's like, well, do you want to make this transition to 5 days a week and maybe 3 hours a day? And I'm like, let's do it. But now that he's working 5 days a week and 3 hours a day, I have to continue to find business or find him something to do where I'm not paying him for nothing. And that was one thing that I had to realize. I'm like, I have to delegate and give someone something to do, and they can't read my mind. And I had a real big issue with delegation because I'm so used to doing everything that when I ask somebody to do something, there's my alarm going off. Whenever I ask someone to do something, I'm so nervous that it's not going to get done that I have to still go back and double check it. So we had to come up with checklists to make sure that everything was being done. So if I say, hey, is this listing entered? And I just need to go in and put the coming soon date or what date is actually going to go live. And so it's also having to release all roles and knowing that you have that other party to be there for you. So that was a big struggle that I had.
Yeah, when I was starting with Leverage, we would do a lot of screen shares. And I'd say, okay, watch me do this. and then you're going to take control of the mouse and you're going to do it. And then I'm going to make sure you did it appropriately. And then it's your job forever. Right. And so once I got the confidence that the assistant could do that kind of stuff, then I didn't think twice about it anymore. It just became something that was on her task list. Okay, what have you guys heard today that kind of stood out? And what types of questions are popping into your mind right now?
Well, I heard a lot of intentionality around Marquia. Marquia setting her day, getting up deliberately at a certain time, setting alarms so she doesn't miss things, having 2 phones so that she can accommodate different needs and keep them separate and compartmentalized. So intentionality about how she, has her time set from 6 to 8. I love that, Marquia. I think that intentionality is probably, and your determination, which is intentionality made actionable. I think that's why you're getting such success.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Anyone else?
I love the fact that you're running your business kind of your way. You've designed it how it works for you, for your schedule. And there's a lot of people out there that say, this is what you do this and this and this and this, and that's how you're successful. But I like how you've kind of taken the reins and made it your own, and it's working for you. So congrats.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I would say, just on that note, Rachel, I appreciate you bringing that up. I think there's three concepts that we all have to think about when we are developing our brand and kind of our style, if you will, right? There's only 3 parts of real estate. There's the lead acquisition phase. There's the operations and service phase, right? And then there's the communication phase. So every single one of us is going to have to figure out how leads are going to come into our world. But that's really where it stops in terms of commonality. Like Ryan can do it one way, Marquia can do it another way, Rachel can do it another way. I don't care if you ever make a phone call. If you can get enough leads coming into your world, that's all that matters. So the first question is, how are the leads going to come in? The next thing that you ought to be thinking about is, how am I going to service all of these people, right? What systems do I have in place? What are my checklists look like? What happens after the next thing? Who does it? What are the operations stuff that you guys have to determine? And there's certain, plenty of flexibility and variability there too. Variety there too, sorry. And then thirdly is, hey, we got to communicate with these people over time, before and after the transaction. So how is that going to happen? Do you want to do that this way or this way or this way or this way? You guys have the freedom to build your business however you want. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it.
Because I had a closing in December, and I just always check on her and just say, hey, how are you doing? She's like, Marquia, I'm not happy here. And that's one of the ones that I got on the contract on Friday. And then she got into a brand new construction, but it was just all about me following up and, her just being honest that I'm just not really happy with the area. Like, I'm ready to move. And so, less than a year later, I'm listing her home that she just bought in December.
Amazing. Yeah, don't assume that your people are happy. Check in with them. Right? Okay, any other thoughts, questions, ideas? Specific questions for Lorinda, Rachel, and who was it? Ryan. Was it Ryan? At the very beginning, did you get your specific questions about the things that were most important to you addressed?
I did. I want to
Yes.
thank you for giving us that information. It's really helpful.
You're welcome. And I'm always open. That's another thing. I really feel like I'm like a mentor too, because every time someone calls me, I'm just like, I always find a way. And that really goes a long way, because you build that respect level with other people. Whenever they feel as though they need something, just always be a helping hand. And that's something I also pride myself in as well too, just to make sure that I'm there for somebody, because I will need it one day as well. So
yeah, I love that attitude. There's a very interesting concept, right? Leaders lead, right? If you're a leader, you just lead. Sometimes you don't even realize you're leading. That's just your natural energy, right? When you go into a new environment, you're thinking to yourself, who can I learn from? And how can I help this group get to where they want to get? Right. And
have conversations. Have conversations. I was having a conversation with the person who did my nails. Kind of find out she's been looking for a house. She's approved for $500,000 from SunTrust, and she's just been out looking. So that's the reason why I didn't come to work yesterday, because she's like, can we go look at some homes at 1:00? And I sent her some, and I said, I sure can. So I worked from home yesterday morning, and I took her out to see a couple of things. And you know, it was just all based off of conversation. So you never know. That was an unexpected piece of business that I'm probably about to get the buyer brokers agreement signed on. And she's already pre-approved.
Yeah, the cool thing about real estate is, like, I mean, literally every single person that you see or speak to has got to live somewhere, right? And they're either going to own the home or they're going to rent the home. And the cool thing is we can help with both.
Yeah.
So literally every single person that you come in contact with at some point will have some real estate needs or real estate questions. So the question is how do I make certain that this person does not make any real estate decisions before they speak to me? And I get a chance to sit them down and help them understand how to be successful in whatever market it happens to be at that time, and make sure that all their questions are addressed and come from curiosity and come from contribution. And at that stage, you will have more business than you know what to do with. And along the way, you're becoming a better leader. You know, you're learning and you're reading and you're getting coached and all that, so that when a talented person does come your way, you can scoop them up and you can help them get to where they want to go. Candace, it looks like you have something you want to share.
No, I just am so excited about Marquia's path, and I just love how you poured into everybody this morning. And so it's just phenomenal to see.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Well, I think
doing it.
It is the second you say to yourself, which I would never expect to happen, but the second you say to yourself, okay, I got it figured out, that's when you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And going in and saying, hey, you know, who can I learn from today? What am I going to learn today that I didn't know about? Like, I sat with Dustin for like 20 minutes yesterday looking at some iBuyer models, and like he just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, he was just thinking about something completely different than the way I was thinking about it. And it just completely opened my mind to additional opportunity. You know, so go into every single room and every single meeting thinking to yourself, what am I going to pick up today from this person? This person, I'm in this room today because there is a message I need to hear. So what is the message?
You know, and this is the thing.
Close with one thing. Oh, go ahead, Candace.
I was going to say that, you know, I've been in business 21 years. There are still people in this business that I want to shadow. And I think that's, you know, you have to push sometimes I war with pride, like, oh, I should know it all after this length of time. But no, that's not the way it goes. We learn organically based on our experiences in real estate and the transactions we've had. So always keep that openness to know that somebody's doing it differently, and it might spark an idea for you, or it might change your business a little bit. So I think that's really important to do. And I guess that's my advice for newer agents, is just never think you've got it figured out, like Bill says.
Yep. Well, Marquia, what were you going to say?
I want to close with, because I get the question all the time, and I know a lot of you all are probably thinking the same thing, is, well, what's holding you back from going full time? I love my job. I love my team. I don't have an issue with my job. So one thing for certain, I think that is emotions that's holding me back. But I also have goals as well too. I am in the process of getting an investment property, but then getting the information, I come to find out that you don't even really need a job. You just need the money for our money loan. So now I'm thinking, if I'm still here just for no reason, because this whole time I've been thinking that I need my job to show income, but they don't even ask for W-2s and pay stubs. But I think it's not necessarily even a thing of savings, because I definitely have enough savings to step out on faith. But I still think it's a right time where you just know that it's time. And I think that time is approaching, and I've kind of slowly but surely been telling my team, But it is going to be a hard separation from my residents and from my staff to just say, hey, this is it.
Love that. I love that. Okay, Marquia, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your tips and strategies. As she mentioned, if you'd like to, ask any of us, certainly Marquia, something in private, I know she's open to giving you some feedback and giving you a couple pointers. Just a couple of housekeeping things real quickly. Remember, today is the business planning session from Jean Rivers. Jean Rivers is probably my favorite KW instructor. Thank you for adding that, by the way. That is going to be live streamed on both KW Connect and the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. If you're not part of that group on Facebook, I highly recommend it. It's called Pivot Shift Ahead, and it will be live streamed from that Facebook group as well as KW Connect. That's 1 to 5 today and tomorrow. And I think there's 2 special guests, and one of them happens to be Leslie Peters. So she's going to be on a little bit later this afternoon, is my understanding. I am in the—
Bill, quick question.
Yeah.
It's that thing, it continues from one day to the next, or is it the same thing both days?
It is my understanding that it continues from one day to the next.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just was making sure.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. I'm experimenting with a couple of projects behind the scenes. So if you use Google Cal, I'm looking for 2 or 3 volunteers to help test something for me. So if you're using Google Cal and you want to help me out with a little project, just send me a little WhatsApp and I'll include you in on it. And Candace, am I leaving anything out? You're on mute.
Just that in case there's any other dual career people on here, or if you are not dual career, but you are sideways because of things in your life, Monday nights at 6:45, I need 5 people to show up, but I do a dual career mastermind. Would love to have 5 people this coming Monday. I'm on vacation, so it'll be the following Monday.
Okay.
Not the 25th, but the, what would that be? Not the 25th, but the 1st of November.
Okay. So. Yeah, we love to pick up the dual career momentum, right? That's one thing we didn't really talk about so much today with Marquia, but there is a significant difference between part-time and dual career. When you say you're part-time, the implication is whenever something falls into your lap, you work it. And the truth of the matter is you're going to be unprepared and you're going to not have your systems in place. And you're probably going to represent your client less than you should, right? A dual career person is intentional. A dual career person says, hey, I got 2 careers and I go to each one of them every single day. And I make progress in every single one of them every day, right? So Marquia is truly dual career. And those are the people that one day, if they choose, can make the leap. But if you're in the lead receiving business and you're just going to help, a random friend or 2 every once in a while when they have a need, you got to ask yourself, am I even in integrity by helping this person, right? If I don't show up to the meetings and study the data and learn the technology and, all these kind of things, am I the right one to represent this person just because I have a real estate license, right? So I'm going to ask every single person that might hear this, ask yourself, hey, am I dual career? Am I doing something every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, to keep the real estate engine going? Okay. Candace, you want to add anything on that?
Nope, no. I think that was good.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Marquia. Thank you, everyone, for being here. As always, if you need any of us, let us know. And we're very proud to be in business with you. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.